All right, for gold cards, I have separated it by whatever the house is, right? Whatever the Strixhaven school is. So we're gonna start with the Lorehold, which is the red-white one for this. So let's look at Lorehold Pledge Mage. One Lorehold, whatever that is. First strike 2/2. Whenever you cast an sorcery spell, it gets +1/0. It's really hard for your opponent to block this. It acts like a 3/2 first strike. It doesn't hit as one. It's unlikely. Like your opponent has a 3/3 that you're gonna attack, they're not gonna block, and you're gonna hit them for 2, right? So it doesn't hit as a 3 cost. It doesn't hit as a 3. Let's go ahead and I think this is probably, it's either a 5 or a 6, I think. This feels like filler to me. Prickly Marmoset, that's a really good one. But Prickly Marmoset, you're right that it feels like Prickly Marmoset. But first of all, this has 3 health. This has 3 health. They're about equally easy to cast, right? They're probably pretty easy to cast. If you're red-white, it's easier. If you're not, then it's harder to cast. But cycling like doesn't cost you a card, whereas the Magecraft actually costs you a card. There aren't that many cantrips in the format. Yeah, but Marmoset was like an 8 or a 9 out of 10. I agree with you. Marmoset would dominate that format. This is not the... I think actually, if you're not red-white, this is probably a 4. This is actually better defensively than offensively, I feel. Because your opponent has like a 6/6. It's possible they just don't even attack into this, right? That holds counters, dude. Creatures hold counters. Just not a benefit of this card. Yeah, if you're not red-white, you wouldn't play this card. I'm gonna put this as a 5, unless you're actually red-white, which is a 6. But it's hard to cast. Like, double. If I'm playing white-blue, 1 white for this, this is not a good deal. I'm not happy about this card. They get better in multiples because your opponent can't attack you. This has a lot of potential. But at the end of the day, I think you're not going to have more than 5 instants in your deck. It's going to be hard for this to pay off. I think it's a filler card. It might be a 21st card or something. Might be actually a 4. Make your mark. Target creature gets +1/0 until the turn. If that creature dies this turn. I like it. I like how optimistic they are in this. Target creature gets +1/0 until when that creature dies. It's not if that creature dies. It's when that creature dies. They're like, oh, okay, geez. Create a 3/2 red and white spirit token. Yeah, I don't like this card. I think it's pretty bad. This is probably a 3. Wasn't this a trick in Eldritch Moon? It might have been. This is like a 3 or 4. It's pretty bad. Like, you attack with your 3/3 into your opponent's 4/4, they block, you use this, you turn your 3/3 into a 3/2 no text. I guess that the creature is untapped, which is something. But combat tricks in general are pretty bad in sealed, so I don't think you should be playing it a vast majority of the time. Trade a 1/1 for a 3/2. But 1/1s are green-black, and this is a red-white card. Respond to removal, but why don't you just play a good creature instead of this make your mark? That's the issue. Like, I would rather just play a Lorehold Pledge Mage than play a make your mark. Like, I would just have another creature instead. That's always the issue with these types of cards in sealed. You always have access in your deck to just have more creatures. It's not like draft where like you might not have another creature that to play. In sealed, because of the way you always have enough, like you have like 30 playables and you have to cut it down to 23. You can always just play a creature instead. Yeah, you can put it on your opponent's creature. That's still not good. These types of effects have been done before and they've always been bad. So. Relic Sloth. Menace, 4/4 Vigilance. Heck yeah. I'd splash for this. This fellow's great. If it was if it was a 4/5, it'd be better. I mean, yeah, sure, but I'd splash for this. He feels like a reprint, is he? It might be a reprint. He might be. Feels like one. Stonebound Mentor. 3 cost 3/3. Whenever one or more cards leave your graveyard, scry 1. I like this one. 3/3 for 3 in red white. Like a 7. I like it. It might scry 1 over the course of the game. Maybe it's a 6. It's either a 6 or a 7. It's mostly just a vanilla card. Maybe it's a 6. You wouldn't splash for this. You'd have to, like, specifically red white, you would play this and it's fine. But Thrilling Discovery. Gain 2 life. Then you may discard 2 cards. If you do draw 3 cards, I love this card. I love these types of effects. I love this card. I like that it's like an updated template for these types of cards going into the future. So, because historically these types of cards, I'll show you the example, Cathartic Reunion. This is what, like, historically what they look like. It's as an additional cost. So you can't even play it unless you have 3 cards in hand, right? This and 2 others. And if your opponent counters it, you're SOL, right? Because you don't get any cards and your cards are discarded. The way Thrilling Discovery is worded, if your opponent counters it, it's whatever, right? You still get to keep your cards. So this is a way better way to template it. You can actually play it if you don't have 3 cards in your hand just to gain 2 life. And it gains 2 life, which is worth something. It's not worth the whole card. It's like worth like a third of a card, but it's something. And I love cards in Sealed that allow you to keep 2-landers. Because, like, 2-landers and it helps you get to your 3rd land drop. I really like this card. I really like it. It's worse when you copy it. Sure. I don't know how many times you've ever copied a Cathartic Reunion in your life. Probably 0. You're just trying to one-up me. I get it. Alright, Lorehold Apprentice. Whenever you cast or copy an instant or sorcery spell, until end of turn, spirit creatures you control gain tapped. This creature deals 1 damage to each opponent. What? So it's like a magecraft that doesn't even do anything in multiples, right? Like if I cast 2 instant or sorceries, it's like it doesn't untap your spirits. It just gives them the same ability twice. It's like yeah. It's not even a spirit itself. Oh, no. This is a hard to cast 2/2, like no text. Maybe it deals 1 damage. Maybe it deals 2? I don't know. I'm gonna put a 4 on it. I can feel like this can probably deal the last 5 damage to your opponent if you can't get through. But I don't know how you cast an instant or a sorcery and you can't get through. I don't know. Lorehold Excavation. At the beginning of your insta, mill a card. If a land card is milled this way, gain 1 life. Otherwise, the Lorehold Excavation deals 1 damage to each opponent. So you're probably going to have like 17 lands out of 17, 23, 17 lands, 23 spells. Odds are over, what, 6 turns, you're going to hit like, what, 2 lands, 4 spells? So you play this, and then over the next 6 turns, you're going to gain 2 life, they're going to take 4. And then on turn 7, you can pay 5 to make a tapped 3/2. This doesn't seem bad to me. It's for the red-white deck that wants to go long. But it gives red-white inevitability, which they don't normally have. Inevitability building in multiple ways. But it also gives your opponent inevitability, right? Because it makes it so like you have to end the game at 15 turns. Although, if you like deal 10 of them and gain 5 life, I find it hard to believe that you can't win the game. This is actually a good top deck as well, because for 7 mana, you're making it's a 3/2 that gains life or starts pinging them every turn, right? This card seems good to me. Yeah, it seems good to me. Yeah, you don't have to sacrifice this to make the creature. It stays in play. You feel like it's a whole lot on Maskwood Nexus? Well, this is a Maskwood Nexus that pays you to stick around if you don't use it, and it's way cheaper. You're right that it reminds you of Maskwood Nexus in a previous format. 7 mana make it a 3/2. You're totally right. It's a good comparison to make. Thanks for bringing it up. Maskwood Nexus was in a previous format. This card was bad. This was a trap card. But it was trapped for different reasons because Disenchants were main deck everywhere and the format didn't really, like the 2/2s weren't really that relevant. So one day this feature will be uninstalled. One day. But yeah, this feels like a 6 or a 7 to me. I think it's a card you're probably always going to play. Feels like a 6. The low end of playability. If you don't play it, it's not that big of a deal if you don't play it. It could be as high as an 8. This is a card you really just have to play with to see if it's any good. Quintorius Field Historian. Spirits you control get +1/0. Whenever one or more cards leave your graveyard, create a 3/2. Okay. Sure. I mean, it requires you to have other cards. But like, the baseline is a card you would not play. 5 mana 2/4, your spirits gets +1/0, you just wouldn't play that card. So like, if you're not exiling cards from your graveyard in some way, shape, or form, don't play this card. But if you can, this card's great. Every life has a story to tell. I won't let them be forgotten. Sure. It's okay. It's okay flavor text. This is the elephant on Expel, maybe. This is it's either like a 4 or an 8. I'll mark it as a 7. Just be aware. Be aware that it requires setup. If you don't have the setup, don't play it. Do you think it's a 5? I could put it as a 5. You're probably not going to have more than 1 or 2 ways to exile cards in your deck. And exile cards in your graveyard, are you? Reconstruct history. I'm going to make this a 6. Just in case. I'm going to go back. Reconstruct history. Return up to 1 target artifact card, 1 target art enchantment, 1 target instant, 1 target sorcery, and 1 target planeswalker. Wait, what? So this could be a draw 5? Doesn't hit creatures. Oh. You're right. Doesn't hit creatures. Does it work with Quintorios? They have to leave your graveyard. Yeah, so it does work with that. You're probably going to rebuy an instant and a sorcery, right? The others are just butter if you get them. This reminds me of the flashback, like for 3 in a blue, return instant or sorcery, 2 in a red flashback. This is probably a 6 or a 7, right? I think you're almost always going to play this. Mystic Retrieval? Yeah. Reminds me of Mystic Retrieval. Yep. Reminds me a lot of that. And this card was really good. Well, with Learn, you're probably going to have the access to an instant and a sorcery, I think. All the lessons are sorceries, but there's probably some instant Learn cards that you're going to be able to get. This feels like either a 6, maybe it's a 6. Maybe it's a 6 or a 7. It's not as good as Divination. Like 2 to blue, draw 2 is not as good as that. It's worse than that. So its ceiling is 7. I think this is at most a 6, I think. When it enters the battlefield, return target spirit. It's a 6 cost 4/2 flyer. When it enters the battlefield, return target spirit, instant, or sorcery card from your graveyard to your hand. This card's great. This card's great. So this is like a 8 or a 9. This might be a 9. Maybe this Relic Sloth is actually a 7, isn't it? This Relic Sloth's a 7. If this is an 8. This is way better than Relic Sloth. Maybe it's an 8. Yeah, mana cost is awkward. It just means that you can't just splash it in your blue-black deck. Right. It's better. It's different than 4 colors red-white. It's like, I guess you're like white-black deck. It's harder to splash this a little bit. I don't know. It's weird. Not that much harder to, for sure, but yeah, it's 6 mana 4/2 draw card, draw spell. Pretty good. It is also a spirit, so they loop each other. That's kind of busted. Choose one. Destroy. Deal 3 damage to target creature or planeswalker, or destroy target over an enchantment. Yeah, this card's like an 8 or a 9, right? So just an 8. Just generic terminates. Or an 8, so this is an 8. You would probably splash for this. Yeah, you would probably splash for it. Yeah, this is just a braid. Yeah. A braid plus. Can hit planeswalkers and enchantments. It's not. I guess it's a sorcery, so it's actually worse than a braid, probably. Attacking creatures you control have double strike. Nah. I guess. Can't splash for this, obviously. I mean, in your red-white deck, you're playing it. They printed these cards in Throne of Eldraine, right? They had a cycle of these in Throne of Eldraine, and they were just like, you know, 8s on cover, 8s if you're on color, obviously like 1s if you're not, right? You're gonna get blown out of this. If your opponent's red-white, you're gonna lose to this, right? So this is somewhat dangerous. Your opponent can kill it, instant speed, but it's not a trigger, right? Your opponent can kill this instant speed and block your creature, so it can be somewhat dangerous, but... Lorehold Command. Uh-oh. I didn't even know there were commands in this set. Create a 3/2 red and white spirit creature token. Creatures you control get +1/0 and indestructible and haste. Deal 3 damage to any target. Target player gains 3 life. Sacrifice a permanent, then draw 2 cards. Yeah, I mean, this is just an 8. Maybe it's a 9. It's an FTK, right? Maybe it's a 9 out of 10. You splash for this. Yeah, you splash for this. It's 9 out of 10. You're getting 2 cards out of this no matter what, so maybe even 3. Yeah, you're definitely gonna splash for this. It's a lot of potential, so yeah, and it's an instant. Yep, it's a 9. 9 splash worthy card. Yeah, it's target player, so it doesn't fizzle. All right. Or on the deal 3D. So for instance, if it didn't say, if Lorehold Command didn't say target player gains 3 life, and you chose to make a 3/2 and deal 3 damage to any target, and then it said you gain 3 life, if that target was removed, you would not get to 3/2 and you would not gain 3 life. You think this is like an 8.5? It is closer to an 8.5, but I don't know. FTKs are generally high win rate cards. Like, one of the highest win rate cards in the previous format is Basalt Ravager. This thing was like one of the highest win rate cards. And it was just like a big FTK. And that's kind of what this is. So I think calling it a 9 is not... It doesn't necessarily pay rent, but it draws cards probably, or it has a massive effect on the game. Like, the +1/0 indestructible and making a 3/2 flash, if they're attacking you, you can probably kill 2 of your opponent's creatures and get a 3/2 out of it. And that's a massive impact on the game. Yeah. Yeah, this card is just always going to be good. I think it's a 9. Instants and sorcery spells you control have lifelink. Okay. At the beginning of your upkeep, exile an instant sorcery card at random from your graveyard. At random? You may cast it this turn. If a spell this way would be put into your graveyard, exile it instead. Sure. It's not may. You have to exile an instant sorcery card. You may cast it. Yeah, it's like Charbreaker Devil. Is that what it was? No, Charbreaker Devil was insane. I don't believe you. No, this is way better. I mean, Charbreaker Devils is way better than this. So one thing to keep in mind with this is you can't respond to the ability. No, you can. Oh, you can't. Wait. You can. Okay, so this ability triggers every upkeep whether you have one or not. So say you have 5 mana in play and you play this, right? You untap. On your upkeep, in response to the ability, you can cast Heated Debate. So deal 4, gain 4. And then the ability resolves and it chooses Heated Debate. And then if it's exiled, then you can cast it again. So if you have no cards in your graveyard, you can actually still cast instants on your upkeep in response to this ability. Well, no, you can play it that turn. It says you may cast it this turn. So that's why I said if you have 5 lands, you play this, untap, upkeep, cast your 3-cost spell, play a land, and then recast your 3-cost spell. You don't have to play it on your upkeep. You can wait until later in the turn. You can play your land to play it. This might be a 9. This is probably a 9. Yeah, I know. Darren, I know. That's what I said. This is an 8. But it pays rent. It pays rent in 2 different ways. The upkeep ability, and it also gives your instants and sorceries lifelink. It draws a card. Potentially draws a card on the turn after you play it. Like, if it stays in play 3 turns, you're probably going to win, right? It's probably a 9. Venerable Warsinger. Vigilance Trample. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, you may return target creature card with mana value X or less from your graveyard to the battlefield, where X is the amount of damage this dealt to that player. This looks familiar to me. I feel like I printed this before. I don't think it had Vigilance or Trample, but I think that text box they've had before. It was on a 3/3 Death Touch for black, right? Was like similar to this. This is like a legendary black one. You had to pay X to put X into play, so it's not exactly the same. There's also a 3/2 that exerted to put a 2-drop into play, right? That's probably what I'm thinking of. And that card was really good. There's also a raid card that did it. There was a raid card that did it. It was Timely Horde Mate. When there's a battlefield, if you attack this turn, return target creature card with mana value 2 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. And then there was a 3-cost 3/2 with Exert that did it. Yeah, Devoted Cropmate. Devoted Cropmate was good too. This is probably an 8. It's an on-hit creature that pays you in cards. Alicia? Is that the double striker? Yeah, Alicia. Yeah. That puts him into play tapped, but yeah, similar. No, it's not a 9. It's not a 9, but it's an on-hit ability. On-hit abilities can't be 9s. Unless they have evasion, which is trample doesn't count. Oh, so wait. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. This is kind of dumb. So, you attack with this, and your opponent blocks with the 3/3. And you give your guy +3/+0. You give this guy +3/+0. He actually returns himself into play, right? Yeah, it looks like it can get back itself. That's kind of silly. That it can get back itself. I'm pretty sure it can get back itself. How can it target itself? I think it can target itself. Imagine this was a 4/4 and your opponent blocked with a 4/1. I think it returns itself. There was a Golgari card in War of the Spark that had a similar ability that made sure it couldn't get it back itself. Yeah. It doesn't say that another card, so I would assume so. Spirits you control have +1/+1 and have trample and haste. Sure. Whenever another non-token creature you control dies, exile it. If you do, create a token that's a copy of that creature, except it's a spirit in addition to its types. Okay, sure. This is like the other Mikaeus, right? It just, to me, this is just the Mikaeus. There's this thing. Yeah, to me, that's what this is. It's the same as like giving your creatures Undying. Yeah. Yeah, it's not a 10. It's not a 10. It's a 9 probably. You splash for it, so. Yeah, it's a Luminous Broodmoth. Sure, if you want to call it that. Velomachus Lorehold. 7 mana, 5/5 Flying Vigilance Haste. Whenever it attacks, look at the top 7 cards of your library. You may cast an instant or sorcery card with mana value less than or equal to this card's power, which is 5. So attack, put a 5, cast, look at the top 7 and cast a 5 or less mana value card. Sure. I mean, we're probably just gonna play it. This is probably a 9, right? No, that land was... No, the land... I put the land back down to an 8. Have we found any 10s? Yeah, we found some 10s. We'll go over it at the end. This is just a 9. It's just a giant idiot creature that attacks and maybe does something. 7 mana is a lot. 7 mana is a lot. So... It's not like the 5 mana 4/4 dragon of the previous format. 5 mana is not that much. 7 mana is a lot. It pays rent because it has haste and vigilance. Yeah, I mean it pays rent, but if you're paying 7, you better pay rent. It's whatever. There's a lot of 8s and 9s at the top end for red-white for uncommons, so that's cool. Return Pass Caller might be better than Lorehold. It might be better than that. I don't know. I kind of just want to deduct a point off Lorehold because it costs 7. And 7 mana is just so much, but probably not. Return Pass Caller is really good. I like that the red-white decks seem to be a lot slower. They're not just like all in, just attacking. They seem like they're trying to go the distance with red-white in this set. Because they have like a lot of bigger creatures. Quintoria seems too low. Yeah, I mean, I'd have to play to actually know what the deal is with spirits. There aren't that many spirits in the format. And don't tell me there's a bunch of token makers, because there aren't that many token makers either. All the other token makers are high rarities. So it's like an uncommon that really only works with other uncommons and rares, so it's just like... I don't know. Everything else in Lorehold triggers it. Okay. Lorehold Pledge Mage does not trigger it. I guess this triggers it? I don't know. Not really. You get a 3/2 out of it. Maybe that triggers it. Alright, this doesn't trigger it. This doesn't trigger it. I mean, to say that everything else in Lorehold doesn't. I mean, uncommons and rares trigger it. That's what I'm talking about. No, lots of stuff does not leave the graveyard. That's just a lie. You're probably going to have 3 cards in your deck this works with. Yeah, none of your commons are going to do it. You're probably going to have 3 uncommons or rares that actually makes a token for. And like, the 5 mana 2/4 part, where spirits you control gets +1/0 is not worth it. You wouldn't play a 5 mana 2/4 that your spirits get +1/0. That'd be just be a strict filler card. It'd be like a 4 out of 10. I mean, if anything, this might be a 7 out of 10. I mean, I'll make it a 7 if it makes you happy, but... Do you think it's a 9? Do you think Quintorius is a 9? Just because red has that 1 common? Because it has Tomb Shredder, you think it's a 9? While I agree Tome Shredder and Quintorius is a wombo combo, I totally agree with you on that. Like, is there another common that it really works with? Maybe this one, sort of. This one, sort of, not really. I mean, I don't even want to be playing that card. I don't think. It doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't really work with other things. So, if you don't have exactly the Tome Shredder, I feel like Quintorius is probably whatever. Yeah, I like where Red White is going. I'm looking forward to playing with it. I'm looking forward to playing with Thrilling Discovery. Like this card a lot. Yeah, Jay, you have to understand there are no themes in Sealed. Like, I think you're really skewing your evaluation, your critique of my evaluation. You're critiquing me based on what you think you're going to draft. Yes, Quintorius is going to be better in draft. We're not talking about draft. This is a sealed stream.